In Bangladesh, many young women are striving to break down traditional barriers, but for some, this comes at a high price. We take you to this South Asian nation where one woman's struggle for equality and justice could mean success for all women. In a society in which women are largely expected to follow tradition, this woman appears to be living her dream. She's successful with a career as a distinguished lecturer in international relations at one of Bangladesh's most prestigious institutions, Jahangir Nagar University. But for 30-year-old Noreen Tabassum and many women like her, all is not as it seems.
It began happening in 2008.
It is sexual harassment, and it began, she says, with her boss at the university, Dr. Abdullahil Kafi, chairman of her department.
Dr. Kafi would say, if you fail to satisfy my needs, you will not be able to get a permanent contract. As of now, it is still not permanent. He even inferred that I would have to engage in sexual favors.
Sexual harassment is common throughout Bangladesh. Experts say, especially in the workplace. But many of the nation's women are starting to fight back, demanding justice and pushing for new legislation to punish perpetrators. Joining the fight is Noreen, who says the harassment was so difficult at the beginning that even her husband, Tamed Ahmed, could offer her little solace.
I told her that she had just started a new job. These things happen. Everything will be okay.
But it wasn't. The harassment only became worse, she says.
In 2009, new lecturers joined the department. Dr. Kafi used the help of these junior teachers to harass me further.
Noreen says that she complained to the Vice-Chancellor against Dr. Kafi 5 times, both verbally and in writing. When that didn't work, she, together with 30 female colleagues who supported her cause, stormed the Vice-Chancellor's office. Even her husband lodged complaints. But Dr. Kafi's actions only became bolder, she says, calling her at home.
He wanted to come to my house and ask me if anyone else was at home. When I replied that my mother-in-law was inside, he suggested that I send her away. I asked, why should I do that? And he said, if you don't send her away, how will we be alone?
The calls continued.
Another time he called to say that his wife wasn't at home. He said that he really wanted to have sex with his wife. He called me just to say that.
She says he even questioned why she had no children. Life, Noreen says, was unbearable. Her husband became increasingly concerned for her well-being.
It was difficult for me. I became very upset with my husband and easily irritated by my students.
It's sad, very sad, that my wife, the teacher of the highest public university, faced such an injustice.
I think there's a real problem in terms of repression of sexuality, I think, for both men and women.
Sarah Hossain is a prominent human rights lawyer in Bangladesh.
Women's sexuality is very, very strictly policed and controlled. And women are seen as sort of prey for sexual attacks.
And she says there are no existing laws in Bangladesh's constitution safeguarding them, something she and local women's groups find unacceptable as they push for a legal framework to protect victims.
We see a legal system which is overburdened, under-resourced, in some places really on the verge of collapse.
But progress was made when, in May 2009, Bangladesh's High Court approved a set of guidelines against sexual harassment in response to a case launched by 4 female students at Noreen's University against a different teacher. These guidelines, which require all workplaces to guarantee victims' anonymity and to establish mixed gender committees to hear complaints, are now mandatory throughout the country.
It's very hard to really make sure you can get justice for people. So when you do get cases which make a difference, that's very, very exciting.
And it was very exciting for Noreen, who, empowered by the new guidelines, enlisted Sarah Hossain in her struggle. She too would present a case to Bangladesh's High Court. But just as the case was taking hold, unexpectedly, the university made public the names of the victim and Dr. Kafi.
Which was pretty extraordinary, given that the guidelines lay down expressly that you cannot name either party to a sexual harassment investigation during the pendency of the investigation.
Noreen says attempts to coax her into withdrawing her complaint soon followed.
They asked my father to encourage me to withdraw it, but he didn't listen to them.
The fact that both her husband and her father backed her up made it possible for her to proceed with her complaint or to have it taken seriously.
Serious enough that she finally got her day in court in May 2010. Then came a frightening call.
I was threatened that if I didn't withdraw it, I would be abducted or even killed.
Noreen says she still doesn't know the identity of the anonymous caller. Angry, she fought back, reaching out to the media to share her story.
If you conceal this, it will increase every day. Everyone has to speak out. This is why I'm speaking out.
And her voice was being heard. Cases like these and numerous incidents of stalking young schoolgirls prompted a push for a new parliamentary law that would define sexual harassment as a criminal offence.
The government has a total stand of zero tolerance towards any kind of violence against women.
Bangladesh's Minister of Women and Children's Affairs, Dr. Shireen Chowdhury.
There is no scope to engage in violence against women or this kind of offence and get away with it.
Dr. Chowdhury hopes her government, which is party to CEDAW, the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, will pass the law, which is currently under review.
And we are trying to insert another clause there which will sort of give more explanation about what amounts to sexual harassment and with a specific punishment for that.
As for Noreen's case, months later, a verdict was reached. She won. The High Court stated that she should be protected from any further incidents of sexual harassment. And the accused, who declined a request to be interviewed for this report, continues to deny the allegations.
Dr. Kafi has been demoted. If I was not able to remove him, at least he was demoted from his position.
Noreen says while it's a victory, she still feels tension at work, but she believes the fight was well worth it.
Girls and women must come forward. If they don't do this, it will continue. Society will always try to break the spirit of the girl, but it has to be dealt with courage.